Yeah. This was probably the most unexpected experience of my life ever. When I actually went through this, my friend who I was living with at the time was like, dude, you have such white people problems. And now that I actually think about it, like what she said actually does make sense. Like, who just randomly gets a burst appendix? I haven't been exposed to a lot of people who've had a burst appendix. What had happened, yeah, it was a very painful time in my life. It just happened so randomly where I was like just chilling one day, and then one day I started getting like random pain in my abdomen area. I was like, oh, okay, no, I mean, I'm about to start my period in like a week or so it's perfectly normal. That week passed by, I got my period, that week passed by, and then it still continued. I was like, well, I mean, I should not still be getting any pains right now. I should have, stopped at this point. My brain is not registering the fact that I need to be going to the hospital. I am just chilling. I'm like, ugh, it's probably just bloating or whatever. I was not in the frame of mind where I would be alarmed at like a random pain in my body because I was like so focused on work. Everything else just felt like whatever. A week went by and I'm like, what is going on? Like, this should not still be going on. And then I started panicking now because I'm like, why? I remember going to the emergency room the first time around. It was like the third week that I'm getting the pain now. It was starting to get so bad that it was like actually disrupting my day and causing me to be less productive during my day. So I went to the emergency room and then they ran some tests. And then after a couple of hours, they were like, oh, you probably just have like a UTI. And they gave me antibiotics, sent me home. And then they were like, if the pain persists, obviously come back after you've taken the antibiotics, which was another week, and then we'll figure out what the actual problem is. I took the antibiotics for a week and the pain still did not stop. Now I'm really starting to panic because I'm like, am I about to die? I had to go again to the emergency room. More tests were run. I had an ultrasound done, I had an x-ray done, and I still couldn't like pinpoint where the issue really was. The pain was just not stopping. So I went through at least a couple of hours of testing. And every time I was actually like still going to work. I wasn't like staying at home or resting or doing whatever. I was still going to work. And then I would go to the emergency room after work. We get so brainwashed with work that everything else feels like absolutely nothing. But then there was this one time where the pain was like so unbearable. I was like, no, I cannot do this. I have to go home, get some rest, whatever, or at least go to the doctor. And then I told one of my colleagues that, I am going through the worst pain ever. And then she was like, have you had your appendix removed? I was like, excuse me? I had my what? And then she was like, yeah, like you need to get that sorted out as soon as possible. You do not want to leave it to chance. I feel like I was very confused at this concept at the time. I quickly rushed to the hospital and it turns out, yes, my appendix had burst. And I actually had to decide, do I want to get the surgery, like the appendectomy or something like that? If I wanted to get the surgery then, or if I wanted to schedule it for later. I was so panicked and stressed at the prospect of having to go through surgery that I opted for the later procedure. I still have to get my mind right. All the while I was actually like updating my friends and family and everyone was like, very supportive. I think it took another week for me to actually go into the hospital to actually have the surgery. Obviously, like there is a procedure that you have to go through like when you register and you have to get your medical aid sorted out, etc., etc. And then it was like another week until I actually got the surgery. I literally watched YouTube videos about like people getting their appendix removed. They kind of like relaxed me a little bit. People had like such a positive response afterwards that I felt a lot more relaxed about the prospect of getting the surgery. The hospital and the staff, they were so helpful. They were always available. Yeah, it was just like a pleasant experience. And then I finally got the surgery. They cleaned up whatever they needed to clean up. And then my doctor told me everything is working fine. Like, I don't know if I actually even got to the point where it registered as a life-threatening situation. Just a word of advice to everyone out there. If you feel like a very weird pain in your body that is completely foreign to you, and especially if it happens in your abdomen area, the best thing to do is to immediately go to the hospital, get it sorted out.